Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well today. This is Juan Castillo, marketing lead at DNAVerse, and welcome to one more episode of our podcast series. DNAVerse vision is about customizing NFTs with real DNA, a decentralized business model, and eventual human verification in the metaverse. In addition, one of our main goals is to promote mental health, raise awareness among the community, and build healthy relationships that add value to our lives. And that is to say, our focus is to maximize the benefit for the human element behind, which is the cornerstone of the innovation of what we're doing. Our guest today is an artist focused on helping communities to be more aware of their health and well-being. She's a musician, writer, producer, painter. She's all that, and the founder of Cassette Monkeys, a Web3 project based around decentralized mental health, and the producer of the associate film Playing with Life, the soundtrack. Today we welcome Emma Hames. Emma, welcome to DNAVerse.
Hello.
Hello, Emma. How are you doing today?
I'm very well. How are you?
All good, thank you. Great having you around, and we are looking forward to hearing from you. What are you doing? And tell us about your life, how are you helping the community. I think you have an interesting profile, and you are certainly adding a great value to the space that we are working and living in. Yeah, Emma, thanks for being with us. Why don't you tell us a bit about your journey? How did you end up creating your collection, NFT collection, Cassette Monkeys, and how did you end up connecting those to supporting mental health in the metaverse or in Web3?
Yes, it's a little bit of a backstory. We're not yet launched. We were in development for the generative collection. The backstory starts with myself having a kind of coronavirus about 10 years ago, and I smile because I had no idea at the time that's what it was. And through that, I ended up struggling to breathe properly for a year. Wasn't believed by the doctors. So I went through this period of 1 year, not breathing, not knowing what was wrong with me. I felt like neurologically things were different. It was just a real struggle to survive, to be honest. Fast forward to a year later, I'd moved to the south of France, where I thought, because at that point, doctors had just told me it was just stress, it was just in my head. So I ended up moving to the south of France, and I thought, if it's just stress, then the Mediterranean life is going to fix the issue. And what ended up happening is I went to a specialist who found my lung capacity to be at 60%. And I developed kind of asthma off the back of this coronavirus. And obviously we know just how serious these viruses can be and how it can affect anxiety, it can cause depression, it can cause all kinds of things, fatigue, etc. Because I'd gone a year without being believed as well, I developed very severe anxiety. So I was having panic attacks, I was struggling to survive, I was struggling to live a normal life. Yeah. So I was prescribed two kinds of medications, one to repair my lung capacity and an anti-anxiety medication to deal with the psychological effects of everything that happened. So I immediately just felt drugged up, felt like a light went off in my head and everything felt very different. I was able to live a little bit more normally, but it wasn't, I never felt normal. And I wanted to come off the drugs. I felt that the anti-anxiety medication, I had lived a very healthy and full life before the virus. I traveled around a lot. I played football in the UK, quite a high level team. And the doctors refused to let me come off it, basically saying that you're probably someone that needs to be on drugs for life, which didn't make any sense to me. But what can you do? You trust the doctors. So I stayed on that medication for 4 years. And instead of taking me off it, they actually increased my dose to the highest dosage. And I was getting things like heart palpitations. I was working as a teacher at the time, and they were happening in the middle of a class. They were happening when I was going for drinks with friends. It was just really indiscriminate. 2 a.m, 2 p.m, and they were getting more and more regular. So I came back to the UK in 2016, and I went to the doctors. And the first doctor's appointment that I had, they told me that I should have only been given the anti-anxiety medication for 1 week maximum. Upon finding that out, I cold turkeyed, not knowing the risk. Nobody ever said to me, this drug could kill you if you cold turkey it. And I thought I might have a few weeks withdrawal and it might be uncomfortable for a little bit of time, but it ended up being a 5-year injury. And I spent 2016 to 21, pretty much housebound, had 35 ambulances in that time, and just went through kind of hell. Once I realized what had happened, I then started researching it and found out that this is very much a global issue and an epidemic is waiting if it's not already happening already. Part of the issue is that it's just not really understood. And from that point, I just felt like I had to do something, considering how many people were being injured. So I thought the best way to go about it was to make a film. I think film is a very, very strong form of media that can allow us to really experience the truth around an issue. So that's where the idea for the documentary film came. During that time, there was no support. There was absolutely zero support available. And actually, when I went to the doctors, they just gave me more medication, which continued to injure my central nervous system. The only thing that helped me during that time was music and art. And that, to be honest, that was the only thing I could do. I couldn't go on holiday. I couldn't go and see friends. I couldn't go to the gym. And that kind of formed the narrative for the film, which is I'm writing the soundtrack for the film as part of the film itself. And the plan is to put a band together, go on tour, and just hopefully be an example of you can have your life completely turned upside down, but it's not the end. There is hope the other side of it. And even if you feel you're at rock bottom, there is a chance to rebuild yourself and rebuild your life. So that's the narrative of the film. And then when I got into Web3, I saw the huge potential to build community around this, given how much of an issue this is. So Cassette Monkeys was born, and originally it was going to be the community building project around the film. But we actually realized as we started developing the idea and talking with other people and talking as a team, that there was a real opportunity to build a startup that could directly help people with these issues, and that the film is part of the ecosystem that supplements that with these things crossing over. Yeah, it's a bit of a long-winded explanation, but that's the ecosystem, and that's Cassette Monkeys.
No, sorry to hear that you went through such a hell for many years, and I think they are known. Sometimes you just trust what you have around, right? You need to go to the medical system or to friends, family you don't normally trust because you're seeking answers and you don't have them. So I guess what you're doing out of experience, it's going to be adding value because you can tell people there is a hole, you can also research, you can get out of the regular channels and do your own research, as people say on crypto, and just try to seek out answers. And just because somebody says this or that doesn't need to be the main path you need to follow. And your case, unfortunately, so many years, it was affecting not only your health but your mental balance, or your getting all the disorders attached to not only to the drug but also to the situation, because it's desperate to be in this situation, which is. I don't want to ask how you felt when this pandemic exploded 2 years ago, and having this feeling. Probably everybody's asking you about that, so I'm not going to ask you for how you were feeling about.
It's okay. Feel free to ask anything. I don't mind. I'm used to talking about it, and I'd rather get the truth out there. But yeah, we can talk about whichever.
Yeah, let's focus on you, how you went out of there, and then you start. I need to put my word out there. I need to tell people that there are more out there that we need to find answers, and that's probably how you came with this film to produce this live. What's the name again? Playing with Live, your soundtrack. And also with this press play initiative, which is maybe to give the scenario, to the floor to those people that actually went through hard situation. And as I tell everybody your story, there is a hope. There is something beyond the regular channels. And you talk about this initiative, Cassette Monkeys, and then I saw that you had this press play initiative, like maybe podcast series or just stories. How do you want to combine those? You want to invite people? Do you want to combine this with your career as musician or as an artist? What's your plan here behind everything?
Yeah, so press play is really the handing over of the microphone to the community members, because step one for us is building our community, learning from them how we can be most effective in supporting the community. So really it's a platform. I see Cassette Monkeys as the house, and press play is a room in that house. Yeah, the current initiative is based around a podcast. We have some other ideas for how it could evolve. We're thinking of releasing a book called Press Play, which will feature all of our featured guests in there, where they can share their stories. Really, it's kind of, obviously there's a musical element of pressing play, but it ties over into pressing play on life, because all of us at some point could feel that life is paused, and it's really just a sort of nod in the direction of, okay, how do we allow ourselves to resume life in the direction that we want it to go. So yeah, that's Press Play, and we're just getting it launched.
That sounds great. We're happy to see your progress there. Did you, obviously your drive was to put your story out there and communicate what happened to you and trying to be people aware or warn others about the situation, that there's always somebody at the other side of the line just to help you. And so would you define yourself as an artist? Like you put your arts and crafts in this channel, or maybe the motivation of looking into yourself just brought this up from you? You know what, I want to start painting, I want to start doing music. What was first? What was the drive of your story or your motivation for art and your hobbies?
That's a good question. I've always been interested in art and music. They've been my biggest passion since I was a kid. I was that kid wandering around the schoolyard with my headphones in constantly. So I think to some degree that obviously came first in life. And then once I started making a bit of a recovery from where I was at, because I couldn't even do a Zoom call probably a year and a half ago. It was too stimulating for the brain. So I think once I started coming out of that, the drive started to kick in because I felt like I'd lost 5-10 years of my life. And you have two choices with what you do with that recognition. Do you cave into the emotions around that, which would be understandable, or you go the opposite way and you go, I'm going to channel it. I'm going to channel it into something that does some good with this situation and turns it into something useful. Yeah, I hope that answers the question.
So basically you took the decision to say, okay, this is for myself, this is my life, I want to enjoy, I want to do what I like, which is everything that you are doing, and those things are motivating you to move forward, and you just combine them probably, right, in this package that you are creating right now to tell stories, but with arts, with communities, and so on. And I think if you can do exploring Web3, this is the perfect scenario, the perfect situation to bring your talent and actually help people, because there are so many possibilities right now with the community building tools that we have that I think is great. And the isolation that we see nowadays with this pandemics and being more stuck at home, working from home, you have less time for yourself. What are the benefits that you are going to be bringing using the metaverse or Web3? Do you think it's going to be having an impact on mental health? Is it going to be a positive or negative impact? We need to be careful, have a right balance. What do you think about this technology?
I definitely think there's huge potential, and I think we have to be careful. I think Web3 in some ways is obviously it's different, but there are many similar challenges with Web2. The internet is an amazing tool for many aspects of our lives, but it also can impact mental health negatively. And I think that's no different from Web3. I think the technology itself is neither good or bad. It's very neutral, but it's how we manage it and it's how we facilitate the use of those tools in a way that supports people. Yeah, it's obviously a very complex subject, and it's difficult to know which aspects to pinpoint, but I think we have to keep ourselves in check. I think as a community and as founders and as people in Web3, I think it's a discussion that we constantly have to have, and perhaps now more than ever, not neglect the research around how is this affecting mental health, and how can we make sure that we are up to date with that and implementing it into our businesses and community and discussions around the evolution of Web3.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we are dealing with the same platform in different channels, right? Like, we're going to be more immersive. It's the same situation. You can be navigating or surfing the internet from everywhere. But at the same time, it's yourself in front of a screen or using a headset, right? It's just immersive experience that you're going to have there. What do you think? Because for me, Web3 is helping communities to get in touch, like-minded communities. And I see a lot of will from people that they don't know each other, they're helping each other just for the sake of being on the same community. Do you think this is going to be key to help people to overcome these personal obstacles like barriers and problems?
I think so, yeah. I think we've evolved as social species, and that's not something that I think we've lost or that we want to lose. I think we've somehow created societies that can make it more difficult. We don't have the same kind of communities that we had, that our ancestors had. And I think digital communities can replicate that. I think the geographical aspect is a really interesting one, in so much that in your local community you might not have 100 people that share the same interests as you, but in the world there's probably 1 billion. And obviously digitizing that can open that world up. So yeah, I think it has huge potential.
Yeah, there are many Web3, I would say, tools and channels, or especially just looking for people to join, to use VR as an experience, to attend them through anxiety processes, to help them with stress. And something that we are doing in DNAVerse, as I said, we're very focused on the well-being of our communities. We're trying to give this fitness, meditation, and nutrition, mental health. We're trying to give these tools in the channels for people to jump in and be helped by not only the community, but also professionals. I think this is going to be a sort of like a marketplace, right? Like when you can bring talent and professionals that help people in the community and maybe feedback from each other and do research on them, and they benefit from each other. I think this is one of the most important things, and I'm bridging this community of this Web2, Web3 personal life with digital life is going to be great. And one of the things that we do is the genetic report on DNAVerse. And if you see one of those variables is the genetic predisposition to how drugs are affecting you, and you see this report that we provide, you had this predisposition, how would you be affected by this or that? Do you think that this is something that you could have been using in the past? Okay, if I would have had a DNA breakdown and I can see that some medicaments are affecting me more than others, I would be more aware of the situation, or maybe to contribute to your personal development. Do you think this is gonna? I'm not talking about how I feel right now. Like, for example, diabetes. You need to go to the physician, get a blood test to how you are right now. But your tendency to be this way, that way. Do you think this is something positive that the people should be aware as, okay, I can research more on myself deeply and know how am I, or how I will feel doing this or that?
100%. Yeah, I think, and that's really what Cassette Monkeys is about as well, in a different way, but in a related way, in the sense that it's about empowerment. And it's about people being able to make informed choices. And if you can equip yourself with the knowledge, whether it's understanding your DNA profile, whether it's understanding the risks involved with some medications, and then linking the two together, that adds another layer of education and understanding that can allow people to make informed choices when it comes to their health, their children's health, their parents' health, whatever the context. So yeah, 1,000%, I think it's a very powerful tool that can help a lot of people.
Yeah. And how do you think people with social anxiety or some sort of anxiety disorder could be benefiting from the VR, from an environment where you can be comfortable at home, just being on your pajamas or something? You need to do so much, I hope, at the same time you can socialize and start maybe learning a bit the process of, okay, I need to start slowly into talking to people. How do you see the social interaction from now on? What's going to be?
I think that's a very exciting aspect of it, and one that I connect with personally. 5 years of severe agoraphobia meant that I couldn't leave the house. And so I understand very personally how powerful this can be for people. And the fact that we know that the brain can't decipher between reality and imagination. And it's not imagination, but it's a kind of plane of existence between the two things in some respects. And I think there's huge potential in being able to retrain the brain through this technology to be able to adapt to real life situations, even though it's real life. But I think it's a huge tool for exposing people to situations that they can then, through graded therapy, graded exposure, they can then apply to using in real life as well.
Yeah, as like Neil's actually pointing out, and not being judged.
Yeah.
People will be using an avatar, which it will be showing somebody else, so they feel more safe and secure when surfing around and talking to people. Or what I think it's important is to give them the steps, and they can just walk the way by themselves, not being rushed, but not blind. Okay, you have social anxiety, go to a club and just break the ice with somebody. You need to go step by yourself or being helped by others. I think this is one of the applications that we're going to have. And I say that because maybe there should be at some point we need to be careful on the balance, because we're talking about avatars, right? So we don't want to just camouflage ourselves in an avatar or just hide behind a mask and then use it as I don't know how you call it, like a duality of yourself. Okay, this is me, I am brave, I am super open in the metaverse, but on a human level, I am not. So I'm training my avatar to do this, but I'm not doing it for myself. So we need to see what's the balance. Yeah, okay. I'm not talking about social anxiety, right? We're talking about sexuality, knowing yourself in every different direction. So how do you think having avatars and with your experience is gonna help people and it's gonna affect people in different ways?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And again, I think it's about balance. I think it's about safe management of that, because I think there is a risk that it can go too far the other way, where people could become very insular and become too dependent and reliant on technology that allows them to not have to participate in the world as themselves. Mm-hmm. It's a shame, because all that's doing is literally using a mask to mask over the issues that, if they could deal with them on the deeper level, then you get the best of both worlds. Literally, you get the best of the digital world and you get the best of the real world. So I think it's up to leaders in the industry, of multiple industries, the mental health industry, the medical industry, the Web3 industry, to ensure that there's proper management of this, and that the users are, again, equipped with education and knowledge on how to make sure that they're using it in a healthy way. And again, I think there's some responsibility for all of us as community members, and that's where community can really play its part to support each other and educate each other, which we see quite a lot in Web3 anyway. So that gives me a lot of hope that will happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think your project and your community and your talent is going to be helping quite a lot in there, especially you are in a controlled environment where you can just be yourself, show your talent, show your art, and just be yourself in whichever way you want to be. I mean, you want to be disguised as an avatar, it's fine, but you can be yourself and enjoy your real yourself, I would say. I don't know how you see the AI and chatbots and bots that we have around right now on the internet and eventually in the metaverse. I think artificial intelligence is going to be massive. And don't you think it could be having an impact on our anxiety? Because I'm telling you this because one of our goals is to human verify avatars and NFTs and so on. It means if you're going to be dealing with somebody on the metaverse, I want you to know that it's a human behind, for the better for the worse, but not to be interacting, having this social engagement, and suddenly after some time or even weeks, or even dating somebody, you find out that it's artificial intelligence. How do you think this is going to affect people?
Yeah, I think, again, management, awareness, education, discussion is an absolute must for every aspect of this. And I think we've seen it with Web 2. We've seen it with trolls who you can make the argument that I think it was Gary Vee that said something like, the internet is not an issue, it's just exposing the issue of humans. Yeah. And I don't think that's wrong. But I think there's a danger that if people are getting away with certain behavior, it keeps reinforcing that behavior, right? If they're getting a positive feedback from annoying some celebrity on Twitter or whoever, and that gives them a rush, there's that positive cycle. So I think Web3 has the potential to take that to another level. We've seen it. There was a BBC article the other day about a children's metaverse space that was getting inundated with sort of sexualization and things like that. And I think if we have bots and we have avatars, as we were talking about, that allow people to hide behind this and do what they want in a Wild West thing, in a Wild West way, then I don't know what the answer is other than we have to manage it whilst also maintaining that balance between decentralization and safety.
Absolutely. And keep privacy-centric, the ecosystem, right? And individualize. I mean, not only the avatars, but the experience has to be customized for yourself. And this is one of the important things. Just look for your own space, be yourself, right? And seek help. And as you say, I think education, learning, not only, I would say knowledge, but also each other fairly, maybe a bit better than you see of in the internet. As you said, trolls, bots or whatever. I mean, we need to be careful with that. So just to close up the conversation, what's the next step? When can we see something from you, from your band or from your project? What's the next step for you?
Yeah, so our next step is really building our press play series and starting conversations around these issues. We're hoping to raise some support to then get the NFT collection out there, launch the NFT collection, and then get everything underway with the film and with the development of the startup in Metaverse, and with those two things linking up. So yeah, phase one is getting our community and supporting them. And then we'll see. There's a lot on the roadmap, and we have a lot of ambitious things underway, but it's very exciting.
Yeah, so you're starting a new fight. You're a fighter. We've been hearing your story. You've been going through pain, and you just came out from the other side safe and stronger. And now you are putting this energy out there to keep building up new experiences and new projects, which I think is fantastic. And we are looking forward to seeing your development and your progress. Where can we see this film? It's already on YouTube. It's going to be aired soon.
No, it's pre-production. It's all pre-production. So our plan is that once we have the Cassette Monkeys ecosystem launched and we have the community, we're actually going to invite the community to be a part of the production of the film itself and the associated tour with the film, and sort of take the ethos of Cassette Monkeys on the road with us and spread education around mental health, Web3, the power of creativity as a mental health tool, which of course linking up with Web3 opens up a whole universe of opportunity. So our hope is to get it out end of 2023, probably more likely on Q2 of 2024. So yeah, okay. TBC.
Okay. Well, we are building a space in the spatial and metaverse. So we hope to have you there with your music and maybe your band, so you can talk about mental health and just bring us some tunes and everybody to enjoy. I think we will need to do an event together there. So you introduce the film, actually. That could be a good space to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that idea. I think, and that's something that we want to include with the film and with the Cassette Monkeys is sharing those sort of collaborative things together and showing the power of Web3, because as we know, but maybe not everyone knows yet, it really does have the power to revolutionize people's lives. It's very exciting. So yeah, really down for that.
Great news then. Okay. Emma, thanks for being with us today. It has been great talking to you. I think your story, it will showcase others how to continue, how to move on, how to be stronger. And there's always an answer. There's not always the best solution or the quickest solution, but maybe there is always an answer down the road that you can actually see some hope and be stronger. And I think you were there, you saw that, and you came out stronger, as I say. So congratulations for that. Happy to see that you are we don't know each other, but you are moving on and initiating new projects, and that's fantastic to see.
Thank you. And just to say, that's a really good point that you made, because sometimes the quickest and easiest answer is the one that's most dangerous. And that's what I found out. And I think that's something we can all take into our journeys with health and learning about ourselves. And I think that's where DNAVerse really can provide a solution for that by giving people the knowledge around their health, their biology, their chemistry. So I'm really excited to see how you guys develop too. And yeah, imagine this will be the first of some further chats between us.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Emma. If you want to give a follow, Emma's going to leave the social media handles and even the website of the project, so give her a follow and just follow her progress and the project development. I think it's good. For everybody, thanks for being with us again. Follow us on Twitter, Discord, LinkedIn, social media channels. And I will see you next time soon in DNAVerse. Thank you. Thank you, Emma. Bye.
Bye-bye.